What's up, my nerd friends? So, every single abilities from the Maid Collab unit has been released. So let's analyze them one by one. Firstly, we have Tohru, which I slightly talked about in the last videos. So now we're gonna go through over her kit yet again, so we can get a little bit better idea the synergy between all the characters. So from what I see so far, there is a pattern with all the Maid collab, which is they actually kind of want you to use all of them in a single team. But Tohru doesn't really have that. So Tohru has active skill that does pretty high amount of damage, has 3 cooldown prior to strike, and has a knockback ability, which is actually somewhat important when I get to Fafnir later. And also have a decent chain combo. I think overall Tohru is probably one of the more self-sustaining characters in the banner so far. You can use Tohru with a lot of other fire unit and you will work just fine. So since I already talked about her in the last video, I'm not gonna go too in depth. I'm just gonna say Tohru is actually decent. Definitely not a must-have, but I wouldn't be regret having her in my roster. I might use her from time to time, like doing Calamity Codex or Data Disc, for example. And now we're gonna look at Kanna. So Kanna is a Thunder Sniper, which I was wrong actually. I thought she was a Thunder Converter, but apparently we got another sniper. So her active skill, Sky Glare, which is 3 cooldown preemptive strike. Probably Breakthrough Tree getting preemptive strike, that's my guess. Select a tile and deal 280% damage to enemies along the way and on adjacent tiles, knocking them back as far as possible. Enemies along the way will receive 1.3 more damage. This is another knockback abilities. The second unit in the collab has knockback so far, and this one I think is probably the weaker one because the damage is not exactly high. The range is only a single line plus the adjacent line, and you will knock enemy like to the left and to the right, which is somewhat of the thing you don't really want to do. But it's probably okay, I would say. Pretty average on its own. So her chain combo is a sniper chain for 3, 8, and 12. It's a 3 surrounding cluster, hitting 2, 3, and 4 enemies, progressively increase the chain. It's okay. It is similar to Midgard chain combo. Definitely fine. And then the equipment, Reign of Dragons. When all Thunder Aurorian and other Maid collab character trigger their active skill, Kanna gain 1 charge up to 10 times. So every charge will increase her basic attack by 3%, and half the charge will be clear after the round's end. Kanna gain 2 charge when wave start. So basically this is something that you gain some attack, but then you lose half of it every single round. I think even without losing the half, this is not exactly strong. To be fair, even increasing 30%, it's alright, I would say. Not the best equipment. I think Kanna is kind of weak, not really deserving 6-star to be honest. Yeah, I would not recommend going for Kanna unless you really want to just collect all the characters. Definitely the weaker one in the banner so far. And then next we're gonna look at Elma. So Elma is a Watcher Detonator, which I guessed correctly, and she is a 5-star with pretty okay stat. It's fine. On the lower side, I would say. And then active skill, select 1 out of 4 directions. Select a direction on either side, attacking enemies within 90 degrees and dealing 340% damage to enemies in the area. The damage decreased during this sweep and to a minimum of 40% of original value. So this is a AoE attack, and the more near to the corner you are, the more range you will be able to cover. I feel like this ability is kind of similar to the Kanna one, but even weaker because you don't have knockback, right? It's purely doing damage, and it's also 3 cooldown preemptive strike. And for her chain combo is a column chain. Column chain is definitely not the best, but it's whatever, I guess. And then her chain combo, normal attack, chain combo, active skill increased by 20% when health is full. It only increase her stats. So one thing I am kind of conflicted is her equipment needs to have a healer in your team, right? But none of the Dragon Maid unit actually heal. So I feel like Elma is probably one of the units that you might not want to be in the Dragon Maid team. I think she's kind of meh out of all 5 of them. Probably the weakest one, I would say. And then we're gonna talk about Lucoa. Now we're gonna get into some interesting stuff. I mean, abilities. So I guess she was Force Support or Force Converter, and I was right. So stat wise, definitely decent, and active skill, very interesting. But before we talk about active skill, let's talk about the equipment first. When a chain combo hits an enemy, 1 stack of Immortality Mark is inflicted. Each stack of the mark increases active skill damage received by this enemy from all Aurorians by 70%. Maximum 10 stack and lasts for the entire battle. So you can increase the enemy damage taken by active skill by 70%. This is actually pretty huge, and I think this effect can be used in many teams as well. If the unit is more focused on doing active skill damage, for example, Tohru and some of the units that also do a lot of damage, like Sinsa or Charon, do a huge amount of damage on the active skill, right? And I think Lucoa can really help those units do a lot more damage, and being able to support that is really good. Now we're gonna talk about the active skill, the Celestial Order. So she is also 3 cooldown preemptive strike, deal 260% damage to all enemies, and inflict slow on all enemies on green tiles for 2 rounds. Enemy will be inflicted with 3 stack of Immortality Mark before active skill deal damage. So already she has another way of inflicting Immortality Mark other than the chain combo, because the chain combo is pretty hard to hit being the X shape. So at first glance, I thought this is just a weaker OD abilities. So you can see here, OD Ascension 2 Breakthrough 2 to 400%, already higher than Lucoa. To 3 surrounding cluster, if you have maximum breakthrough, it's all range. So it also inflicts slow for 2 rounds and also poison for 2 rounds. I was like, well, isn't this just weaker than OD? But actually, I think Lucoa ability is also quite good because the Immortality Mark, right? So before you deal damage, you already make sure the enemy takes more damage from the active skills. And this is a really good support because you also buff all your team, not just you alone. I definitely think Lucoa has a lot of potential, and maybe need a little bit more experiment, see what team she fit in the most, because right now most units do damage by attacking and chain combo. So maybe you can make a new meta out of Lucoa, who knows. Definitely a very interesting unit. And now we're gonna talk about Fafnir. So Fafnir is a water converter. Very surprising, to be honest. I thought he will be fire, but I guess Tohru doesn't want to give us fire welfare units. And stat wise, probably on the low side, even for her converter. The attack value is very low. So his active skill, End of the Life, 1 cooldown. Select 1 enemy and convert up to 3 non-blue tiles at enemy feet into blue. So on the first impression, I was like, wow, 1 cooldown, 3 blue tiles? That's crazy, right? That's like Pasolo, but 3 times better. But no, it's not that. So at the enemy feet, it actually means just the tile the enemy is occupying. So the tile you cannot actually use. And if you select 1 tile enemy, so the small size eclipse site, you will actually only get 1 blue tiles. Only when you selecting an enemy that is a 2x2 size, you can convert up to 3. And you have to make sure the tile the enemy is on doesn't already have blue tiles, or doesn't have more than 2 blue tiles. Then you can only convert up to 2, right? And when you go bigger and bigger, obviously you have more chance of converting 3 tiles. So you might ask, what is the use of this when you can't actually use the tile that you convert? Well, you are right, you basically can, but there is a synergy between the chain combo and the active skill. So the chain combo deal 155% damage to 1 surrounding cluster, and based on the numbers of blue tiles at the enemy feet has a maximum of 40% chance to inflict fright on the enemy for 1 round. So this is very similar to Claycan. So Claycan has 75%, I think. No, wait, no. Claycan will 100% chance inflict fear if the enemy is below 75% health with the chain combo. Fafnir can inflict fright no matter the health, but it's 40%, up to 40% anyway. I don't know how they count it. Is it like 1 tile 10% or what? They didn't explain it. That's what I assume. Is it like if the enemy is 1 tile and the occupying tile is blue, does it means it's 40% then? I probably need to test this out first to see if it's actually that. But definitely very interesting that able to inflict fright. And also this one has no cooldown, unlike Kanna, which you need to wait like 5 turns or something, 4 turns. And whenever you inflict fright, the enemy will walk away from the original spot. So this means you can actually use the blue tile you converted then. But this also means that the enemy need to be movable and also frightable. There are quite a lot of enemies that actually don't move. And in that case, well, this ability is not very useful. Like a boss such as the Shelmer, every the Shelmer doesn't move at all. You have there's quite a lot of bosses don't move, or they move very little. I also like that since you have Tohru and Kanna can knock back enemies, this can also make sure you can use the tile that Fafnir can convert. But definitely the more interesting part of Fafnir is the equipment. So equipment fixation. Active skill deal damage to a selected enemy for every 1 blue tile at the enemy feet. Deal 66.6% of Fafnir attack damage. Active skill from other Dragon Maid character will also trigger this damage effect when hits an enemy. So this active skill is probably why you want to use a full team of Dragon Maid characters, and 66% per blue tile is pretty decent. And because it's 1 cooldown, you can consistently deal like around 200% damage on a 1 cooldown basis. It's pretty nice. And then you have a Dragon Maid Collab unit, which is on 3 cooldown basis that can contribute to that damage. So obviously this works better on enemy that is extremely big and doesn't really move around, like Nozart, like Shelmer the Abydos, which is 3x3, and you can do quite a lot of damage that way. I don't know how I want to rate Fafnir, but I do think he is very interesting. Not really much unit can do this yet. The only one we've seen that convert the occupying tiles is Vivian, and I think Kuma and Pengi, and Uriel. I think Uriel also does that, and I'm pretty sure Robin also does that. You have high breakthroughs, and as we all know, all of those characters sucks, but none of those characters have 1 cooldown. So really hard to see so far, because well, even though you can convert up to 3 blue tiles, how practical is that where you can actually use it? But I will be very interesting to see how this team perform. I will definitely get all of them and test them out in a full team of Dragon Maid only units, and test out on different type of bosses, see if they are actually good or not. So final verdict, I'm going to give all of them a score rating, and whether I want to summon for them or not is simply up to you, although Fafnir is free. So Tohru, I would say 7 out of 10. Kanna, 5 out of 10. Elma, 5 out of 10. Lucoa, 7 out of 10. And Fafnir, well, he's free, but I'm gonna give him 7 out of 10 as well. Alright, that's it. Subscribe if you want more Alchemy Stars content. I will also make a follow-up videos for testing and also summoning for the characters. And I'm actually going to summon for Bethlehem because, well, this is the last chance, and I feel like we don't have to go too deep into this character because we are also getting 2 free summons from Tohru themselves. Very generous. So I didn't notice that initially because I didn't know they actually included it, but they didn't include in the news. They include in the game. So if you see the notice here, the Collab exclusive 10x recruitment. This is given for free. So you get 10 pulls for the collab only, and you get an avatar. So you have to claim it during the event period. And on another day, I think, wait, where is it? This is the prism, right? And then on 14th of January, which is the next day after the launch of the event, you will get another 10 pulls. So be sure you log in to get your free 20 pulls for the collab. And since we got so many summons for free from Tohru, I'm going to try to get my breakthrough tree Bethlehem. And if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe. It will be very likely the next video. That's all for today. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.